Welcome back to another episode of the Resilient Lounge. With me today, I have Elena Krutova. I'm sure you've seen her name circulating on LinkedIn, or you probably have had an interview with her. However, she's one of the big ballers in Cyprus in the HR aspect, and I'm very happy to be speaking with her today. Elena, hi, welcome to the Resilient Lounge podcast.
Hello, good morning. I'm really glad to be here. So let's talk.
Yeah. So, Elena, where are you originally from?
I was born in Russia and I learned in Russia and I studied like in university in Russia. And after some time there, I decided to relocate to Cyprus. So today I'm located in Cyprus and live here with my family.
So, why Cyprus?
It's a funny story because I remember the day when we came back with my family from Thailand. And it was so nice there, and it was sunny, and it was summer there. And we came back to gloomy Moscow with snow. It was the end of February, if I'm not mistaken. And I got a dream that I want to relocate to somewhere else, to more pleasant climate, I would say, to different cultural environment. And also, I always wanted to work abroad. Therefore, for me, that dream became something some sort of the focus. And I started to look for positions from time to time, which will appear abroad in Cyprus, in Spain, in any other European sunny locations. And then one day my friend sent me a message about the company looking for a talent acquisition manager in Cyprus, and this was Exness. And I decided why not. And I passed the interviews. I came here for a final interview with my bosses, and everything went quite well. Although that time it was a very stressful decision for myself, for my family, because we were very well settled in Moscow. But I made such a jump, and I never regret it, and my family happy here. So I think it was a very right choice at the very right timing.
That's the thing about Cyprus. It's basically a magnet, right? And there's people who go there on holiday and they're like, wow, I want to come and live here. And then there's people who say, maybe it's not for me or whatever. But the expats really do love it. And Limassol, well, Cyprus in general, is like a little Moscow anyway. So you don't feel like you're really away from home. I'm sure like on the streets when you walk, you do see more, like Russians and everything. So it's like a little Moscow there.
Yeah, and it's very nice to see how Limassol is developing. So obviously it's a different city
Yes.
comparing to what it was 6 years ago. And of course, many people have crises when they relocated and they need time to adapt. For me, I think we went very smoothly with that, and I'm really happy here.
That's good. I mean, that's what's really important. I mean, how is it there for you as expats? I mean, do you have other communities for expats for Russians in Cyprus generally? If you need any help,
I would say that Limassol is a very diverse city, and we have many communities for Russians, for Ukrainians, for British people, for many others. And you can choose not only the cultural community, but also the community based on your interests. Some people like art and they attend different art classes, exhibitions, and this kind of events. Some people are more attached to their families and children and they spend time doing some family activities. And it may be, again, the cultural community, or it may be a very diverse kind of community. For me, I don't make a difference between different cultures when I talk to people. And recently, it became more fascinating for me to join Cypriot community of speakers, coaches, people who are doing business, even parents of the children who are studying together with my daughter. And I like this diversity. So I'm not for being very closed within your current community, but I'm more for going out and learning what's going on around, how people act, what they're.
I think that's great. Have you learned to speak Greek?
Μιλάω λίγα ελληνικά. And I can say some simple things about myself, and I can read and I can translate. So I aim to get an exam soon, but it's not really, of course. It takes some time.
That's really good, though. The fact that you've tried. I mean, that's great. Right. So, Elena, you did start your career as a HR specialist way before you obviously you went to Cyprus. And then you worked your way up into big industry names. Can you share a little bit more about your journey of becoming one of the major HRs in Cyprus as well?
So I'm doing HR for almost 18 years, and I always loved the profession, and I tried different elements of this profession. So I started as a junior recruiter in one of the outsourcing leaders that time in Russia and Eastern Europe, and I was doing quite intense hiring for the company. And then I jumped into learning and development, and I went to another company as a learning and development manager. But it was always HR, despite me being among different employers and doing different tasks. It was always global HR. It was always international environment. Usually it were the companies with a very ambitious growing strategy, and I helped them to increase their headcounts through recruitment, executive search, growing their talents. And I always was focused not only on the names, but what are the tasks and what are the job inside of these names. And when I joined Exness, we also had a very good momentum when we started to grow the business, when we had ambitious priorities, and when you just needed to do whatever needed to be done. And I like that time when you are fully engaged at work, when you're focused on the best what you can do as a professional, and of course the growth will follow. So I'm not that that person who plans career, who talks about career, and who promotes herself for career purposes only. Usually, I prefer to do my job well, and I'm sure that it's well deserved and it's seen.
That's so interesting. So, doing HR in, let's say, Eastern Europe compared to Cyprus, do you feel Cyprus is a little bit behind on some stuff? As in HR frameworks, structures? What do you think?
Last few years in Cyprus, the companies made a huge leap towards the real modern international HR, of course. And also the size of the company matters. When the businesses are very small, your processes are simpler, your focuses are simpler, and your approach towards any function of the company is quite simple. But as soon as you are not 100, but let's say 1,000, you start solving more complex things, more complex tasks about collaboration between people, business processes, how you put proper controls towards the people and their tasks, but still you don't want to micromanage them. And this development helps HR to grow further as well. So I can not say that Cyprus has any particular problems in HR. I would say everything depends on the size of the organizations. And today we see more and more big companies in Cyprus who want to adopt international practices, who are investing in their talents, who are investing in their structures and in their HR function. And I would say it's in some cases it's even better than in many European or American companies.
Wow, that's very interesting to hear. Because when I had started out in my career, I started out as a HR specialist slash recruiter, right? And throughout my career, before I moved to London to do recruitment full time, my job was always 360. So it was HR and recruitment. And I found that all the companies that I was going to, it would confuse HR management with recruitment. And so it was a very 360 role to do. But I did see in the past couple of years, it has changed. Yes, these two are combined and can be a 360 role, but they're different. It's two different things. And the reason for my question was because of how I had started out, where it would always be confused with recruitment and you would then do the HR admin stuff and all of that. But it's great that nowadays it's changing and it's becoming solely its own thing. But in startups and smaller companies, HR and recruitment is still combined. Do you think that's a mistake companies do?
And you're absolutely right that, again, it depends on the size of the company. Recruitment is an essential need for any company growth. And the companies cannot survive if they wanted to grow their business and they don't have current recruitment capabilities. So I would say every HR starts with recruitment. But as soon as you recruit people, you need to understand what to do with them, how to help them to be more efficient in their work, how to help them to pass a smooth induction process and not to be lost in the middle. And then HR start to play solo actually. And as soon as you progress, you see that there are different conflicts between people, that some people are not that skilled in some areas, and you want to help them to upskill their capabilities. Then again, it's the question and the task for learning and development. Then you have requests to improve the leadership and the culture of the company. And of course, it's a management job, and no HR can do it alone. But you need support. You need to know some frameworks. You need to know what will work out, what is not, and you need someone to be among people and to see what is going on there and how to address it. And then again, more and more comprehensive functions appear. So I always loved recruitment, and I see without recruitment that no company can develop. But more the organizations come bigger, and more organizations face the challenges of bigger structures, they need to focus more on comprehensive HR as well.
Right. So when you had moved to Cyprus and you were doing the HR side of things, as an expat, generally, as someone foreign who didn't grow up in Cyprus, doesn't know the laws and everything, did you find it hard to understand the laws and implement that into your role, or did you find it easy?
Usually, I refer to international labor law as a one subject because all the labor law has similar principles. It's either the principles about equal recruitment when you don't discriminate people, or it's principles about clear and transparent performance when you don't judge people based on your biases, or it may be the law about equal pay, which is quite common and developing very well in Europe right now. So the principles of international labor law are pretty the same. The only difference is the peculiarities, how you implement that into the real practices. For example, in Russia, the law is quite bureaucratic. So everything should be on paper, signed with a blue ink. And if you don't have a paper, it means that you don't have substance of the event that happened before. In Cyprus, we are a bit more flexible. If the conversation happened and you have meeting minutes in the mail, that's enough. If you can prove that you did a lot, you did, not you signed lots of papers to show that you did. And if you can prove that you did a lot, it's also enough. So I would say one of the differences that I see right now between Cyprus law and other countries' law is probably about trade unions, because currently I work in the organization where we have trade unions, and before I never experienced that. And also it's about common sense and less focus on the papers, but on the real situation. So we never had any troubles in any of my companies here in Cyprus with law if we follow the common sense and if we follow the general principles of international labor law. So I would not say this differently.
Okay, very interesting to know. You recently left the FX industry and you went into the medical scene. Why did you change?
Um, it was always fascinating for me to see the real sector of economy and to see real products that we can use, we can test, we can try on a daily basis. Therefore, pharmaceutical industry was quite interesting for me, especially after COVID, when we all realized how vulnerable human beings are and how much investment should be done into pharmaceutical and medical sectors in order to survive at the end of the day. And for me, the move to go to Remedica was just a reasonable step, enhancing my own understanding between different industries. And of course, I see many differences right now. And at the same time, I see how beneficial it for the country to have companies like Remedica and the real industry experts, because we are driving not only local economy, but also we are driving global economy, producing the drugs and products that probably will save lives for you, me, or our friends one day.
I don't know if you've intentionally gone out there to say, you know what, I worked for one of the biggest FX brokers and I'm also working for one of the biggest medical companies in Cyprus too.
And no, it wasn't intentional. And before I was interviewed by Remedica, I did not know how big they are. So it was just coincidence. And then I learned the history, I learned the reputation of the company. And it was just a very good example how your wishes, if you're wishing something very well, can be transformed into reality. because when I was making my choice, I didn't want to change Exness to any other brokerage firm or payments company or something similar in the digital or fintech area. So I wanted to have something different, and I got it. And it's really great to join another big company in Cyprus and to help them to transform.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that because people who are in the FX industry, it's really hard for them to get out. They always tend to follow into the same industry, and getting out is literally like withdrawal symptoms. So it's like you're in a drug, right? And it's so hard to get out of the industry. Not because it's hard and you can't apply to anyway. It's just it's something about the industry that you want to continue being in it, right? And then you change. So that change must have been really big as well, right?
Exactly. And I like that you mentioned withdrawal syndrome, because this is actually I was feeling first weeks or probably with the first months. You don't understand what's going on, but you feel differently every day. And you miss some things, but you see other things and they are more enjoyable, and it's hard to adjust to them as well. And we discussed with some of my ex-colleagues and friends. Many of them, they pass through the same situations. Jumping from one industry, especially fintech industry, to somewhere else, it's a huge change in terms of perception, I would say, how you see yourself, how you react to different situations, how stressful your job is or how not stressful your job is. So it's not a change of the name of the company, it's the change in your like life, actually, in your in the way how you spend your time. And it resonates a lot what you're saying.
Yeah, because it literally does become part of your identity, and leading from it, you can feel the change. So, for me, for example, when I left the FX industry, when I was working in house for FX, and I came to do recruitment full time outside of the industry, but sort of in the industry, because what I did was working within an agency for FX companies, right? So I was in it, but not really in it. I was like dipping my toes in and out. It was hard. It was really hard to, even though I was kind of in it, I wasn't really. And because I was already in the industry for about 8 years, working within the FX and then going into an agency, I really felt the change. And also because I moved to London as well, that was another change.
I can add that another industry where you also feel differently comparing to other industries is IT. So if you work in IT or digital company, it's a different ecosystem. And I worked in different IT companies in Russia, and Exness also have a good and big software development teams here in Cyprus. It feels differently. It's just different standards of working. It's different culture. It's different way of thinking, and it may be reflected even in small things. IT people always think of automation. Whatever you do, you should not do it manually. And in all other industries, manual work is fine, just fine. Okay, we will spend 2 hours doing manual work. That's fine. IT people tend to spend 3 hours how to avoid doing manual work. And I saw it being in different IT companies globally as well.
Wow. Elena, who has been a source of inspiration or mentorship for you throughout your career?
I was lucky to have a very good boss in one of my companies, and she cared about me a lot as a person. And first, it was something unusual for me because we learn in school, so in our environment, a job is just job, and nobody cares about you as a person. And this was a complete difference. And I still have a good contact with this person, and we discuss some troubles when I have in life and when she has troubles with her life. And then in every company, I was usually finding someone, 2 or 3 people who could teach me about the business, because it's always good to have contact with business leaders there who see not only the human side of the business, but also financial, also operational. And with many of them, I have contacts till now. So I can say that if you find someone in your current organization who cares about you as a person, this is something that you should try to save as long as possible. It's very important.
Yeah, mentorship is so, so important. I remember my first supervisor, who was also one of my mentors when I started out. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have ever been as good as I was in HR. She really, really helped me, really helped me. She was also from Russia too.
Very
And
good.
very strict because, I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing where Russians just look strict, but they're not. But I learned so much from that woman, honestly. And I have everything I knew in HR to thank that woman. And I always say it too. Always find someone who is able to mentor you and supervise you really well. And ask questions, continuously ask questions. It's the only way you're going to learn.
And I'm really glad that you had this experience because it means that you also confirm that it's possible to have very deep and personal relations at work with someone who cares about your professional skills, about your personality, about your future. And it's very important not to give up when you had this person one day and then you go to another company and you don't see such a person there.
Yes.
But if you make an effort, you can find other great people who can be your mentors elsewhere. And we shouldn't be stick into the mentality that I had this mentor once and this was like my first and ever love. No, you can try and find someone else in other organizations who will also help you to progress.
You should find mentors in everything that you're interested in generally.
So,
and how you want to grow and how you want to be as a person. Just surround yourself within this circle of people. That's the only way you're going to grow,
Yeah.
right? So what does success mean to you?
I think that success means acknowledgement, that your results are acknowledged by people who are important for you. It may be your family, it may be your manager, it may be the community, it may be even board of directors if it matters. Because when we all achieve something, we want to have this confirmation that this was meaningful, this was important. And of course, there are successes like silent successes where nobody was celebrating it. But I think the biggest success is when you can celebrate it with someone who matter for you, and they can provide you with acknowledgement that this was for a reason. So this is what success means for me. When I know that it was for a reason, and when people around can tell me that, yes, it was really great, we are glad that this happened this way.
Wow, that's a really good answer. Okay, so looking back on your career, what advice would you give your younger self? Would you do anything different?
No, I would not, because from every company I worked for, I got some valuable experience. Many of these experiences, they were positive. Some of them were not positive, but they gave me a great push to move forward and to find something different and to not to repeat all mistakes. I would only give one advice, that I should not have time to hurry up all the time. I should not be focused on achievements every second or every day in my life, because if you love what you do, success will come, the career progression will come, and you will enjoy it more than I probably enjoyed that time. And this is the main advice that I give to any people I talk to, my mentees or people with whom I do coaching. Don't be in a hurry, because you will miss those days in 10 or 5 years and you will regret that you didn't enjoy the process, not only the outcome.
Love that. You said you do coaching. Where do you do your coaching lessons?
Usually it's online. I have only, I don't have many people I work with, because my main job, of course, within corporate career. But if some friend or somebody asks for an advice and they feel stuck in a certain professional or personal situation, we talk, and we talk either online or we meet in a cafe for a cup of coffee. And usually after a conversation, after the discussion, they get clarity how they can move forward, because it's very important to allow someone to provide you with a different perspective. We all got stuck in our negative thinking or in our anxieties or in our own biases probably. And if you can allow someone to help you to see the different picture, this may change the way how you think. And that's why I like dealing with my friends or my network who needs an advice, because for them it's also a different mirror that I can show in front of them,
Yeah.
and they see something different.
So what exactly what are the topics on, for example? If I came to you, what kind of topics do we talk about?
First, of course, I will listen your story, because when people are coming, they want to show their story. And the way how you will color your story and what focuses you will put in your story will also help me to understand where problems you may see. And the second, that I will ask a question which is quite simple but very powerful. What do you want? Because after this question, many people got stuck. They share their story, they are so engaged into the story, and they say, this is it. And I say, okay, great. So what do you want out of this? And then thinking process starts. Because some people don't know what they want. Some people realize immediately that what they want is not possible and there is no point in wanting this anymore. So we can work through what else they can want from this situation. Some people are clear about what they want, but they don't know how to get there. And I can help them to understand the path. Like you can go this way, you can go this way, or unfortunately these doors are closed, you can find another door. And through this thinking what I want, what I can do, what are my limitations, usually people find the path for better future. Some of them are ready to make these steps, some not, but those who are not ready, they keep on thinking how to do something to improve their lives. And usually it requires a bit more time, but they make steps to get their life better.
Okay, very interesting. I might book with him.
Yeah. So I will ask you the first question, what do you want? So always think of this question, what do I want now? What do I want from myself, from my life, from a current problem, or from whatever?
I love that. I really love that. Okay, to finalize this podcast, what advice would you give to aspiring professionals, particularly women, who inspire to come into the role of HR leadership?
For young professionals, I would say that they have plenty of time. So many of them, they want to build a career within 2 or 3 years, and then what? So I tell them, don't again be in a hurry, because you will have a great career if you spend time through that. But try to enjoy the process, try to enjoy people you work with, because for HR, it's incredibly important to have this unconditional love to people. People are making mistakes. People are doing something wrong. People may disappoint you. But if you don't allow yourself to give up on people, then you will be a really great HR. And I think this was something that I always tried to keep in myself. I want to work with people. I love people. I see their strengths, their weaknesses. I see what may go wrong, but I don't give up on people. And if every HR will be so focused and not judgmental or not a policeman in the company, then I think the overall HR culture will be much better.
Elena, I love that. That was so nice to hear. And yes, a lot of people tend to think HR is being the police of the company, and it's really not.
It should not be.
It's people's.
It's still.
Yeah, it should not
still
be. Yeah. And a lot of people do say, oh, HR is not on my side, employee side. It's mostly on the company side of things. What do you think about that?
I would say there are no sides, because at the end of the day, we work for the business success. Why we work for the business success? Because we want to be well paid. And if the company has money, with fair leadership, the company will share this money in terms of bonuses, salaries, and everything. So there is no competition, or there is no conflict, or there is no tension between employees and management. There may be different tensions. For example, the company is losing market share, or in the company there is a phenomenon of toxic leadership. Then it's not them versus us. It's about how we all together can do something to address this. So I will never become someone between people and managers, or between regular employees and, I don't know, leadership team or board. For me, there is no such a thing like how to become between someone.
Love it. Elena, thank you so much for coming onto this podcast. I have really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you enjoy sunny Cyprus today.
It's not much sunny, but
because over here in the UK it's horrible.
Sun is coming anyway.
It's not sunny today.
It's not sunny today. It's very dusty.
Yes.
And I hope one day it will get better.
Okay.
But we love Cyprus anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not as miserable as London as it is today. But thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Emma. It was my pleasure talking to you. It was my pleasure talking to the listeners who will learn probably something new. And I'm always glad to join any other conversations.
Thank you guys for listening and watching. I will see you guys next week.